Someone was out throwing a spear last weekend, but what did you do? They were at a Spartan obstacle race. There's 5K, 10K, half marathon, and even longer races. But with obstacles along the way, wall climbs, monkey bars, barbed wire, and yes, even spear throws, it's incredible. The people, the energy, the support, the camaraderie, even the course itself. I promise you'll be glad you took it on. Race with your friends, coworkers, even by yourself. You'll make new friends on the course. I have a limited amount of free races to give away with Spartan this year. If you want to change your life with one simple move, make a public commitment and put a date on the calendar. All you need to do is post a video or photo of yourself training for you and your Spartan race. Use the hashtag Spartan Training and tag at Spartan. Tag us too, and make sure you send me a screen grab and I will give you a code for a free Spartan race. Today's show is also sponsored by our friends at orcacoolers.com. And what better way to go into the summer than with a new cooler or a chaser, traveler, camper, barrel, all the good things that they have at Orca Coolers, all the different ways you can hold your drinks, and then you can put your drinks in those roto-molded coolers. Make sure to use code DADSEASON for 20% off your order. That's code DADSEASON for 20% off your order at orcacoolers.com. Today's show is also sponsored by our friends at distilleryproducts.com, the best place to go for wholesale pricing on laser edge glassware, other swag like flasks, and cool things there. They have those mirror tumblers that are good too. Make sure to reach out to me. I'd love to get you in touch with Carson, Janie, Vicky, all the good folks at distilleryproducts.com. That's where we use for our glasses. You should use them too. If you're a podcast, a distillery, a blog, maybe you're a bourbon group, go ahead and use distilleryproducts.com.
Do we want to have the Batman talk or the elephant in the room talk?
What's the elephant in the room talk?
That Instagram post the other night.
You mean today?
No, I mean the other night.
Which one?
Hey, I got the Rona, which means I probably don't have a palate. And I'm also pouring Zeke's Four Roses pick that is fairly inexpensive.
I have backups. And I will also say that I have not lost my taste or my smell.
You know, I could make a joke here. I'll hold off. Either way.
Yeah, your joke was lame, and it was lame the other million times you've said it. We know you think my palate's broken, and maybe Rona fixed it. I don't know what you're saying, but
I wasn't going to say either one of those things.
All I'm saying is I wanted to treat myself. I wasn't feeling the best. If anything, that should be a compliment to you and this Four Roses barrel that you picked, because I wasn't feeling very well and I wanted something nice to make me feel better. I reached for that bottle. So if I were you, I would take it as a compliment. I wouldn't sit there and say, oh man, he's got COVID. He's pouring this I wanted to feel special because my body is not feeling that special. I wanted a treat, and that's what I went for.
I mean, if it gives you an emotional high, that's a completely different angle I didn't see coming. I'll give you credit there. It gives me one every single time too. And inversely, it gave me an emotional not high. Like,
no, it made me feel great. It made me feel great.
Right now?
Yes. Because when I'm not feeling my best, I want to feel pretty.
I mean, at least you can get a bottle of Hypnotic or whatever that pink stuff is.
Pepto-Bismol?
No, there's a liqueur thing. I don't know what it's called.
Hello, everyone. My name is John Edwards. With me, as always, is Zeke Baker. And together we make the Dad's Drink of Bourbon. Wherever you are, whatever time it is, thank you for making us part of your day. If you are following along the saga that is Dad's Drinking Bourbon, trying to keep this show going, last week I had strep. I legitimately had strep. The worst part about it is, we got to kind of Friday, Saturday, and the other half was not feeling her best, and she was in bed. And I took our daughter out to the mall. I got Mother's Day presents. I did all sorts of stuff. We're driving home from the mall. Now I feel bad, right? Because I just felt like, okay, here I am. I'm getting over strep. I was at the mall with my daughter. We're driving home. We're almost home. And I get a text from my wife. I just tested positive for coronavirus. I'm like, great. We should probably test too. And now I feel really bad that I was at the mall. We get home, we test, we have it too. Both of us. 3 tests, all came back with the double lines. we have been in our house ever since, to the point where I feel like my daughter has got super strength on coronavirus. Like she's just got more energy where, it's not terrible. I'll have the occasional cough. I think if anything, it's more energy wise. Like you do something and then you're like, I could take a nap right now. I think I could take a nap. I have not taken days off of work or anything like that. I don't want to burn PTO when I work from home just over this. So I've been working every day and here I am. I'm with you now, Zeke, and we're about to taste some whiskey. So that is what's going on. And that's my story and I'm sticking to it.
Well, I mean, the energy thing's apparent. You're not able to hit the gym every day. The endorphins aren't getting ramped up. You might go into like a short-term like slump thing. I wouldn't say depression, but you've built like you're used to that. When you pull it out, the hormones just drop.
And I'm not even feeling like you're trolling me here. You're being 100% serious because it's
a thing you do. Like it's a routine.
Yeah.
Your body's used to that stimulus. If it's there hitting every day at a certain time, it hits. It's part of your day. It's people with coffee, people with just caffeine or whatever else gets them going. But whatever gets your juice is flowing when they don't, and it's a sudden drop. I feel like it's a 2 to 3-fold effect that goes in the opposite direction.
100%. I mean, and that's the thing, even, right around that 7 to 9 in the morning time when I would go, I just know like, man, I should be there. And I feel like I need to move a little bit. So, I've been taking the dogs for long walks and trying to get out, stay away from people and get a little bit of some sort of movement in there. But, obviously not a lot going on. So I am ready. I should be good by Thursday, Friday. I'm going to test again tomorrow night, see where we stand. If we have negative tests, then we can.
Is it really only 5 now?
It's 5 now.
Wow.
Remember when it used to be like 15 and then moved to 10? And now?
Yeah. I almost hesitated saying it because it's such a slope I don't want to go into, but like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is non-political. Yeah. This is I'm just going by the guidelines and what I'm supposed to do. I mean, the worst part about it, I think, is just having a kid that's sick too. And then her just saying over and over, like, I want to be with my friends. I want to be at school. I want to be with my friends. And you're like, well, you're stuck with us.
Yeah, I don't even think sick's the right word because they're just quarantined, I guess, or stuck. Like, sorry, I've still got the same amount of energy, maybe more. I've got this thing that you can't explain to me, and I don't know what it is, but you're telling me I just got to be here stuck inside these 4 walls all day.
And we paid for this thing where it was like a dance class on Zoom. And all she wanted to do, I mean, I heard them, right? Because I was downstairs working and I heard them upstairs and the Zoom person, like the teacher's like, where's everybody from? And there were people from Tennessee, Alaska, California, Florida, Alabama, like all over. These kids had paid for this virtual Zoom dance lesson. And all Sophie wanted to do, she's like, do you want to see my American Girl doll? Do you want to, like, she's just screaming at the teacher, like, do you want to see my doll? Do you want to see? Look, she's from Australia. It was cute.
Maybe got muted, but hopefully she didn't notice.
Yeah. I think it was a self-mute. I think the mute was put on her own computer without her knowing. Long story short, that's what's going on in my neck of the woods. How are you doing? Everything good? Good week?
It's been busy. It's been good. Got out and played golf Sunday. Saturday was fun. Had a barbecue, a birthday, bounced around town a little bit. Man, you ought to see this course though. It's here. It's local, like Shelby. Have you ever played this thing?
Yeah.
It reminds me of home, which is a good and a bad thing because there's very many elements that are cow pasture-ish. Almost every hole was uphill. The greens were tiny. It was so firm, and by firm, I mean dry. If you didn't make the green or if you were putting from the wrong side of the green, you could easily be back to where you started or 20 yards downhill.
Oh, man, that's rough. How'd you end up shooting?
Look at that. I got 3 pars, which is better than 2. 1 on the front 9, 2 on the back. So I was 1 ahead of my expected goals. And I also bladed a lob wedge into a home.
Oh, I wasn't paying attention to you. I was just kind of going like, oh, yeah, what? And then
snuck that in there. I was about 15 yards from the hole, and I was just going to, try to sit it up there nice and easy. Because, again, like these greens were small. They were firm. Bump and run was not really a good play that day.
But lob wedge into the house was the better play.
Old head came up a little fast. That lob wedge shot about 100 yards instead of 15. And even better, they had a pool deck with like dowels or whatever a bigger form of a dowel is called in between the railing. It shot through it and still hit the house.
Oh man, it didn't hit the window though. It just hit the house, right?
No, but I wasn't going to find that ball. I'll tell you that much.
Speaking of something we can find, Heaven Hill has released the spring 2022 version of Old Fitzgerald Bottled in Bond. This is something that we have had for a minute and we haven't been able to get together to actually do this one. We want to spend a little bit of time on it. So of course, Zeke wanted to do this when I was down for the count and I have COVID. So his palate is going to carry us. I still can smell and taste. So I will try to do my best, but I don't necessarily trust it right now. I mean, I do and I don't. I know I do smell. Anyways, the spring edition denotes a green label consistent across all spring releases, as was the case for the past editions. This edition's tax strip, which has always been a signature of transparency on bottle and bond products, will disclose when the liquid was produced and bottled. It will be available on an allocated basis, and this will meets the strict requirements of a bottled in bond, the product of a single distillery from a single distilling season, aged a minimum of 4 years, and bottled at 100 proof or 50% ABV. The MSRP of this one is $185. This is the first 17-year-old of the nationally released series that features bourbon pulled from across 3 floors of Rickhouse V at Heaven Hill Distillery's main campus. As a leader of blah, blah, blah. So yes, 3 floors of Rickhouse V, 17 years old, 100 proof, $185. You know the drill. What did you think about this whiskey, Zeke Baker?
Well, I did want to ask too before we dove in. Is this the oldest one? I mean, I can't keep up with it, which is a good thing because they've been pumping out these releases twice a year for a bit now. At least in my mind, they kind of all muddle together. But I feel like this is the oldest one, right?
The red one. What was that?
I'm asking you. I don't know. You're the stat guy.
This is the oldest one. The red one that I was maybe thinking about, that was 16 years, but 17 years is the oldest one. We have fall of 2021 was 11 years, spring of 21 was 8 years, 14 years in 2020, 14 and 9, and then 15 and 13 in 2019, 9 and 11 in 2018, and then that special 2020 release of the 16 year. So 17 years is the oldest Old Fitz that we have had so far.
All those numbers, I just want to holler out bingo.
I know. I just threw out a lot of numbers to try to confuse you.
And also, coincidentally, too, they just put out the other Heaven Hill 17 LTO product, which, if you haven't heard that review, check it out. It's worth a listen. For this little bad boy here, the Old Fitz 17, it brought me back a bit. I thought that the first thing I put down for the nose was charcoal mellowed. And what I mean by that was some of like the dustier Heaven Hill products, older stuff that used to come out like Bourbon Hill or Bardstown Club. And those were all age-dated products, 10, 12, 15 years. You could tell by the labels, like it was made by Heaven Hill. It just had various labels. Anytime you have one, it takes you back to a memory of different whiskey to a fair degree. And to that note, I really thought it reminded me, at least nose-wise, of, charcoal mellowing in the sense of an older, oaked or aged bourbon. And I guess to be specific or slightly more on the notes, for the nose, I would say it was, heavily charred corn on the cob. And then on the backside, if you've had an older bourbon product, and, folks always love to throw out the funk word, the funk's definitely there. It noses on the back end pretty good. Palate-wise, I thought it was crisp, but it didn't really bite, if that makes sense, in the realm of like an hyper-aged product, char, etc. Nice fair hints of marshmallow came in behind that. It is char forward, which, it's 17 years aged, bottled and bond, so it's 100 proof. I thought it was more char forward than oak forward, which I would akin to the fact of, again, it's being a 100 proof product. I don't know how much they watered it down, but obviously some water had to go in there to get to that proof. The finish is a very strong linger of char more than grain, but it does hang around for quite some time. And it's just much more of a char than a grain feel to me.
I don't get oak, though. For 17 years, you're right, there's a little bit of char there, but it's not overly oaky, and it doesn't kind of make you be like, oh, man. Like, it's very creamy, I would say. There's an awesome mouthfeel to it. The baking spice for me really comes through in the nose and the taste, though, as well. Just like lots of baking spices. Taste has some caramel in there, too. I definitely, I hate to rely on the old favorites like vanilla and caramel and things like that, but I think there is a fair amount of vanilla in there. Definitely maybe some chocolate, too, as well. It's like a swirl ice cream where there's a little bit of chocolate, a little bit of vanilla in there, but I'm with you. A little bit of char, lots of spice, but not too much. Like it's not like spicy, like it's going to singe or burn or anything like that. It's just like that nice, like a snickerdoodle cookie type thing. Like the spices are there, but it's not overtly cinnamon. Like cinnamon is not the biggest thing coming through. It's not a rye spice. It's like, baking spices.
There's cinnamon on a snickerdoodle? I couldn't tell you the last time I had one. Just in my mind, I guess the fact that snicker and doodle go together, I don't think of spice. So if I'm wrong, I'll own it. But my memory...
This popular cinnamon sugar soft and chewy sugar cookie recipe.
No shit.
Yes.
Right. Chalk one up for you.
Man.
Well, I said I haven't had one. When you hear Snicker, do you think of spice? Obviously it must have came before the Snickers bar, because why would you call it that? But
yeah, it was way before the Snickers bar, dumbass.
Well, all I heard was Snicker. I was like, spice? No, Snickers is like hangry.
Snickers is peanut, nougaty, caramel, chocolate.
I did wonder a good bit, kind of thinking about this and tasting it more. The way that, like you said, and agree, there's just not a ton of oak there for 17 years. There's char. I wonder, what the proof was to begin with, and if you stopped somewhere in the middle,
would it have more oak?
In a more of a balance of an oak char harmony, I guess I would say.
I'm not complaining though, so I don't even need them to stop somewhere in between. I'm kind of happy of where this thing turned out.
Oh no, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying, we always like to ponder on, where the lines could have been if you just arbitrarily pick a proof. I just throw it out there as a random thought in my head.
No, I know what you're saying, and I think there's something there, right? That different things would pop out at different proofs, but very happy. I have been very, very impressed with the 17-year releases from Heaven Hill this year. Let's just say, like, if we're putting an all-star team together in 2022, any 17-year release from Heaven Hill has pretty much made the team for me and is in a starting position.
Oh, the fact that literally, I think it's Bourbon Hill that I have, the 15-year. Can't remember if it's in storage, and I haven't cracked it in forever. Like I said, the Bardstown Club, all those random old Heaven Hills that, weren't a Heaven Hill label, but were. This is the first thing I've had in forever, especially for a new product. I was like, oh, all right.
Is this kind of blowing your mind on pre-fire versus...
I wouldn't go that far, but to like you and others that always like to chime in of, well, there's no difference. I don't know why pre-fire would be different. This one toes the line. This would be that happy medium guy that'd be like, well, what about him? What about, Cousin Earl over here?
Cousin Earl. This release is now going to be referred to as the Cousin Earl Old Fitz.
That one family member, like, we don't always like to acknowledge him, but man, he's got some good, traits and characteristics about him that make you say, damn.
He's Bruno, just hiding in the walls. Like, he's Uncle Bruno. Zeke doesn't talk about Bruno. I would just say, the only thing on this, let's be honest, it's a hefty price tag. It's $185. They did deviate. Normally, Old Fitz does $10 a year. This one went up to $185, so they added on an extra $15 at the end that normally is not there. Okay, inflation. It's a lot. I think if you have it and you're a person with disposable income, you ain't going to be disappointed. If not, you could get it at a bar.
That's what it is. It is what it is. We've talked about it too many times. It's where bourbon is.
It's a good pour, though. It's a great pour. You ain't going to be disappointed.
And we'd love to see it less expensive. Sure. Could you reasonably expect any business to sell themselves short when transparently they can see where everyone else is selling similar or even less product, so to speak? Not a chance. I mean, it just is what it is.
Or where other people are selling their own juice, so they're taking the Heaven Hill juice and putting it out at, 10-year Heaven Hill at Willett goes for how much now or whatever it is?
A lot.
Yeah. So, I mean, justifiably, they have a platform to do that.
And no one knows that's Heaven Hill. It's speculation. I'll just throw the disclaimer out there.
Thank you, Stat Boy. Zeke's very good on vague statements where he comes to me for specifics. I mean, if you could get this, get it. If you find it, you ain't going to be... I love this one. I've really enjoyed a lot of the Old Fitz releases that have been coming out. So this is no different. Super solid pour. Zeke, anything you want to add?
I would just toss in that, with the bourbon boom, who knows how many more hyper-aged products we're really going to see come out. Sure, some folks may be sitting on stuff, but when folks are beating down your door to sell them more and more and more, it's hard to do. Again, think if you're running that business and folks, you can't keep up with the demand.
Or there's going to be a break
out there.
Right?
Yeah.
Or there's going to be it could be another 10 years before we see something like that, right? Like they put all those releases out now and it's like, all right, now you got to wait 10, 15 years for us to age some more stuff up. And there you go.
So I think in that regard, it's certainly a very quality niche product that, like you said, if it's out there, if you can get it, get it.
Niche.
Oh, I thought that was that guy that was like a Russian or something.
Nietzsche. He's a philosopher.
Oh.
But niche product.
That'll be another show.
That will be another show. I have a little bit of a headache. The coronavirus is getting to me. I'm going to go to bed. So thank you to Heaven Hill for sending us a sample of this. Sorry it took us so long to finally record this, but you can go ahead and find us on Facebook at Dad's Drinking Bourbon, Twitter at Bourbon Dads, Instagram at Dad's Drinking Bourbon. Please, 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 it's been a while since we got one. Leave us an open and honest review, just like we leave open and honest reviews about the whiskey we drink. Zeke, where else can the folks find us?
Good old Nashville, Tennessee.
Cheers.
Ciao.